Have you ever noticed the second that you sit down that your brain just does not shut off?
Oh, absolutely. It's that moment where you sit down at the end of the day and you're going through all the conversations that you've had, all the things you didn't do, and all the things you should be doing tomorrow. If you're new here, my name is Jess, and I work with subconscious patterns, but I also work with what is happening underneath when these moments come up.
I am Melissa. I'm a nervous system guide through craniosacral therapy and somatic movement, and I'm also a lymphatic practitioner. So these things that plague us, from our brain not shutting off overnight to our hormones just being erratic, and how do we manage this the best that we can? Real talk, we want to listen to our bodies, and that is the most important. That is why we're providing you with this podcast series. What's actually happening in the body of the nervous system in that moment where our brains won't shut off, when our bodies are exhausted and we just want to rest?
Yeah, so a lot of the time it's like we sit down and we are trying to relax, but our body isn't able to settle and our mind just is going and going and going. And this is the moment where we usually say, what is wrong with me? Why can't I relax? Why can't I just shut down like a normal person? And, it's because something is happening underneath this pattern. Your body is used to operating this way, whether we've been shutting everything down all day long, like not able to deal with it. We don't have emotional capacity to handle whatever it is. So the minute we get quiet, it's like our brain's like, hey, let's have a chat. Let's troubleshoot all these things that we've been storing in our system. And so when we start to say to ourselves, like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do this? We then start to spiral. And this is how it can become overwhelming for the system.
It's like a computer with all of its tabs open.
Yes, absolutely. And we think we need to fix it. We start asking questions or we start shutting down, or finding ways to numb out, whether it's grabbing our phone and distracting ourselves or numbing out with food or alcohol or whatever it is. We're like reaching for relief rather than just being present in the moment and kind of bringing awareness to what it really is.
Ask you, like, why do women go straight to what's wrong with me?
Well, because we're used to fixing everything. And so I think we instantly try to fix, right? How do we make this stop? How do we make this end? How do we feel better? We want that instant relief. We're reaching externally for these things to quell whatever turmoil is happening inside of us, when really we just need that quiet moment to kind of get in touch with ourselves, get in touch with our inner voice, our body, and figure out, okay, what do I really need right now? What's going to actually feel good rather than trying to avoid or numb out.
Does it happen typically at night? Does it happen throughout the day? Where does this creep up?
Yeah, and usually it happens at night because that's when we're quiet. During the day, it's easier to be distracted. It's easier to push it down. It's easier to, do other things. But once we get quiet, I think that's when our mind kind of says, oh, now we can handle this. Now we can start to deal with this. Here's my list. Let's go. But we're tired and exhausted, and we just want space to just breathe and not think about all of these things. You don't need to be in battle with your own mind. You need to figure out what is actually going on. So a simple way, going into your breathing exercises, right? Like you can put your hand on your heart, you can put your hand on your belly, and just following your breath on the inhale and the exhale, very slow, very calm, and just telling your nervous system, okay, you're safe to rest now.
Repatterning.
Mm-hmm.
How does this connect to the deeper work that we're doing?
Yeah, so it's not just calming things on the surface. We're actually going to go underneath this. Whether your subconscious mind is saying, I'm not safe right now, to relax, to create a new baseline, right? So when you are in those moments where your mind is looping and it won't shut off, maybe you're not sleeping at night, maybe you're trying to find ways to avoid this uncomfortable feeling, we're going to help guide you into a new baseline, a new way of showing up, teaching your system, I don't have to sit here and spiral. Maybe it feels better to get down on the ground and do some light stretching, right? To move some energy through my body. Maybe if I focus on my breathing, my body will say, oh, that's the thing I was looking for. That's what I really needed, rather than freaking out and being like, oh, I just can't relax. And a lot of women say this to me in a lot of my sessions. I can't relax. I'll be surprised if you can get me to a place of relaxation. And I always do.
Same here.
Yeah.
Once I start doing any work around the neck, the head, just holding them, that's
Mhm.
sometimes one of the most important things for someone to feel is that feeling of support and being held
Absolutely.
and creating that safety for them in session, but also allowing them to carry that with them throughout the day. And
Right.
it's beautiful to see, to be able to see that shift and see how the nervous system can shift its capacity to
Right.
be in that parasympathetic side of the nervous system, right? To be in that rest and digest so that they can heal and sleep.
Mhm.
And their digestion can be the way that they want it to be and not sluggish and bloated and all of that. Is there anything else that you want to share?
Yeah, I just want to say that if you're moving through this, right, where you're struggling to relax, whether you're struggling to sleep, just know that it's not your fault. There is a pattern behind this running the show. And once you can get to the root of that, acknowledge it, bring awareness to it, that's when things will start to shift for you.
April 11th from 10 a.m. to noon, we have the Gentle Return Retreat at Sacred Soul in Middleton. We have 2 spots left for that. And on May 2nd, we have the Gentle Return Retreat. It is a full day for the high capacity person to slow down, reconnect, and regulate your nervous system so that you can heal. So if you've been looking for a retreat, but you really can't get away for a whole weekend, if you
Mhm.
can put aside a day from 10 to 3 with catered lunch from Clean Eats, then join us. We do somatic movement, hypnosis, Reiki, and you'll have time for connection as well as introspection. So we hope to see you there, and the links will be in the comments.